Hey guys, this is Nick with the LoamWolf.com. We just finished unboxing the Trust Shout fork. It's their new long travel 178 mil fork. We just got back from their media camp about 2 months ago. We got a sneak peek at this thing on some of their test sleds and we were more than impressed. So they've sent us this one for a long-term review. We're gonna stick it on the new Specialized Enduro. As you can see, comes with the fork, this sweet little box of tools. It's got a torque key in there, your air pump, some huck pucks. These are air spring spacers we'll get into in a little while, and your top cap. Has a sweet little setup guide right here. You just scan the QR code, plugs you right into their website with their video log on how to cut the steer tube all the way to putting in the air on each side. We just got off the Message, which is the 130 mil version of this. We had a long-term review going on that, and we liked it so much that we thought we had to put this on a long-term review. So one thing we did like was this trailing link design and their contoured travel. The contoured travel means that the axle path, instead of just going straight up and down like in a telescoping fork, kind of moves up and back. So very similar to what you're seeing in a lot of high pivot designs on the rear side of mountain biking right now. So the first 20% of the travel in this has a little bit of a platform in it, and then once you break through that, it's fairly linear all the way through. One weird thing about riding these forks is you never see the wheel moving underneath you, or you never see the fork moving underneath you. You just look down this solid straight fork and you see your tire moving kind of back out of the way. It's kind of a weird feeling. So you never know exactly how much travel you're using. The nice thing is they've included this Sag Meter and travel meter. So you can initially set up your sag at 20% and then you can see how much travel you're using each time you ride. One thing we found is we didn't love the linear feel after that 20%. So it does come with a stack of these, which is called huck pucks. And you can add how many you want of these to each side of both the spring and the damper side. And it gives you just a little bit more progressivity as you push past that 20%. So those come right here. It is user serviceable. There's a little kit you can get to do all those. We did it on the Message. It's not a very hard operation to do. Some of the other cool features on this are the dampers themselves. They're in here. They're completely protected. They have such a small diameter that you really have, you don't feel any stiction like you would in a large like 36, 40 millimeter stanchion tube. These things are very small and you can put this up against a wall and just cycle it with your hand. So that's how little stiction is in the system. The damper service interval is 250 hours, which is about double any other major telescoping fork right now. And they do offer a damper exchange system where you can just get a new damper from them, throw it in, send your old one back for service, and then swap it out later. So it keeps you riding and keeps you on your bike more. So there's no disassembling your bike. The nice thing is you can just pop some of these bolts out and you can just drop these bottom links, pop the damper out. If you ever get dirt or anything up in there, it's easy to clean out, easy to service. They've really thought about user serviceability in this fork. It's very easy to use, very easy to service. All the bearings are super high quality. That was one other big thing we found is their layup is top of the line. Some of the best, cleanest layup we've seen. Their hardware is top of the line again. They've used very nice bearings. So we expect these to be long-term items. This would be a fork you could put on one bike, move to your next bike with. So we're pretty excited about that aspect of it. From a ride standpoint, some of the things we saw on this fork that really stood out to us were the fore and aft flex on these is 0. We saw some pretty interesting video at the media camp where they showed us some of the telescoping forks, some of the newest stuff on the market, even you know, the thickest stanchions you can get, and they still had quite a bit of aft flex when they were going through some chunky rock sections that was causing a little bit of bind all the way up. So they weren't like nice and progressive movements. They kind of chalked up, which we would never really feel, but as soon as you get on this fork, you really feel how smooth it is and how stiff it is on a fore and aft aspect. Also laterally, you can imagine this amount of linkage really stiffens things up. These links have no flex in them. Those bottom links are the burliest thing. We were a little bit worried about that initially because they are so exposed down here. But if you think about it, your front rotor doesn't take a whole lot of hits from rocks, and these are just a little bit outboard of that. We did hit the message a few times on some rocks, and it's no worse for the wear. Has a few scrapes, but otherwise no problem at all. So the damper system on the Shout is pretty unique. You add air to the spring side and the damper side. So you take your body weight in pounds, put that in PSI, and pump it up. So I'd ride a loaded weight of about 165 pounds. You just put 165 in each side. Check your sag setting over here. Make sure you're around 20%. Adjust as needed. Go rip. So it's a pretty easy setup process. Your damper system, they have recommended settings if you want to just go with their settings through that video we talked about earlier, or you can customize whatever you'd like. High and low speed compression, rebound down here, and each of these circuits is unique. So the medium compression setting is more of a pumpy, like pump track setting, or if you have like a nice flowy trail with big jumps, you can set it in that. And that has a dedicated circuit down here. So your compression on your open setting is different than your medium setting. Open, you have a fully open soft with that 20% of kind of firm on the top. And then they have all the way closed is what they call, but it's not completely closed. You still have 20 mils of travel. So that's like your hardcore, you know, you're climbing up a dirt road, but you still want a little bit of suspension so you're not getting jarred in the front end. And it also, if you do forget to open it up, has a blow off setting. So if you do go over something big, it'll blow off. You won't hurt your damper. Other than that, this is the new Trust Shout, and we're stoked to get on it for a few months.